Hello friends, I have a new video here that I'm going to try to get through, and it revolves around this new documentary that just dropped apparently a few days ago. It was brought to my attention by the Stu Peters Network, or Stu Peters I guess, and it is called Died Suddenly. I watched this documentary 3 times already. The first time it was on YouTube, but it's not on there anymore. But it's still on BitChute now, and I think it's on Rumble as well. And it's a very intense documentary, and it brings me back again to my ominous feeling sessions from November of 2017. Of a coming virus and the complications that would arise from it. So I'm going to try to go through all of this stuff, and hopefully I can make some kind of sense out of it. But I will also want to bring to attention this news that again just came out a couple days ago, right here. And I want to be very careful with what I say. I don't want to have the YouTube algorithms attack me. So you can read what it says here. These Americans, a majority of these kinds of deaths for the first time. That was calculated in August. This is the first ominous feeling session that I published November 10, 2017. I want to read what I put into the notes here. I had a strange sensation enter my awareness the morning of November 9, 2017. The feeling could only be described as a low-level rumbling type of sensation hitting my awareness. The feeling was so strange, I decided to remote view the origin of this strange sensation. The session was more bizarre than I anticipated, and to tell you the truth, I am more curious now than I was when it was happening. A very strange type of broadcast or transmission took place. And I went through and described this. Now I want to go through some of the session work because it is very timely to what is being found now and what is in this new documentary by this fellow here, Stu Peters. And I hopefully these Stu Peters Network people will take a look at my sessions from 2017 and see how closely it mirrors what is happening now. Let me see here. So this was the first session here. Okay, these are all published like I have here. I did the sessions. I videotaped all the sessions. I published them the day that I did them. So they're all time-stamped. This session was done, the first one, November 10, 2017. This is the first thing I'm coming across here. These bands here. It had a metallic taste. Now, if we look at some of the things that are being found by the embalmers, and what they're saying in the documentary is that they're doing less and less autopsies. And so the embalmers of the recently deceased, they are finding these type of clots, these fibrous clots inside of the dead bodies. Let me just do go through just a little bit of this because there's so much in here that is relevant. Here they were again. This was the big story here. They're clustered together. Twisted, fibrous bound together, some type of illumination in the fibers. It's like they're lit up or illuminated, electric feel. I could go on and on. This was the thing about these. I could go on and on and on about these fibers. It reminds me of blood coursing through veins. There was all kinds of fear and all kinds of concern. It reminded me of a plague. There's a plague on the way. There's some kind of a plague coming down the line. Yeah, there again. Something not right about these things. There's some type of a breach going on and a transmission. Now, the thing about the session was, like I mentioned here in the description before I did these sessions, was what came over me on November 9th, 2017, right here in this room, was like an alarm, an alert just went through my being. And it was very strange. Strange enough to where I felt compelled that I had to put it into a remote viewing project. And this is what came through 2 years before the start of the pandemic. Like something is dying or transforming and giving out some kind of a signal. There was some kind of a break or split happening in these fibers, and in the fibrin, which is what they're finding is a big problem of the virus, is that it triggers the body to produce more fibrin, which is a protein, to create blood clots when a vein is severed. And that they were noticing an excess amount of fibrin was being produced by the presence of the spike protein. And so clots were developing. And right here, this feeling of life and death, big time. Big time. Oh yeah, the Wi-Fi signal thing, that's still to come. But here it was, in session number, right off the bat. Right off the bat. Continuing on, oh, hang on. Here. This was another session. This was on November 17th, 2017, as I was continuing on. I was getting these viscous kind of elements here. They were strange to me. Kind of spongy and fleshy. It reminded me of a snail. Kind of find one of these things. Kind of like snail-like. Like a snail. Some kind of a biological organism. And it was moving through the veins here. It was an organism, a parasite, a virus, like a bacteria or a virus. Tissue, flesh like skin, which is the color of these things. And they're moving through the blood vessels here. Microorganisms as well, which is interesting because in the documentary they're talking about, this is in a snapshot from the documentary, the microorganisms, or the micro, I guess I could call them micro clots. That they're finding. And these move on through the body and they create more of these things. And I was getting these microorganisms too. And there they were. But there was also a type of signal coming interacting with them as well, which we will. There's a lot more to come. This is the facility from which this whole thing started. This feels like a breach. Feels like a third element, like an alarm system going off in a different location, like the breach alarm goes off. Now this schedule or broadcast alarm goes off. There's a breach. A lot of things here as I was communicating with this thing, but the breach element is what I went into further. These are codes and different things, zones, coordinates, contamination zones that were being set up. Pretty crappy drawing here, but here was the command center. This was the breach containment location. Areas that are close, even counties, that were to the breach center here, like the Wuhan lab and the area close to it, which was the area with the wet markets. Then here's a person at the podium, and here they're talking about these organisms. I go on. The next session. The focal point facility. Describe the events taking place. Something is there. My aesthetic was like some dark thing in there. It's dangerous and deadly. Feels like a breach, contamination. Stay away. Get out of there. It's leaking out. Breach, containment, biological. This is there. This coming from here. My AI, I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything about this. It's coming out of this facility. I needed to move to the person at that one podium. What the hell are they talking about? Something that was not made public yet. Again, this is November 2017. Containment, biological breach. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm really wrong about this. And I have a very bad feeling about this facility right here. It's a bad place. Describe my bad feeling about this place. Scientific, experiments, biological, scientists, geneticists came out of this location here. Letting something out. Exposure. Again, here's the facility. Things are frozen inside like a bacteria freezer, like a place that keeps organisms, scientists, experimental biology. It has to do with biology. An effect mechanism spreading, contamination, consuming and growing. And these creepy things were from here. It's all part of the same event. All part of the same event. Here they were, these fiber structures. They're very flexible. There's a tension from flexing them. And I have an image of that too. Right here. This is one of them. He's holding one of the doctors, or the embalmer's holding one of them. My sensation is that it's strong. That's what they're saying these things are. Stretching and flexing. Movement. Elastic feeling. It's like blood, but it's flesh colored. Which they are. They're flesh colored. Here they are. Tiny blood vessels. It's in the blood right here. Very small molecules moving through very small veins. There's another image of the microfibers, I guess, that move through the blood veins, and they go and they create these things in other parts of the body. Very thin veins are small enough to allow a thin stream of molecules like this. Again, I'm talking about the veins and these weird things moving through them. Very small, some are microscopic like these. They're pulsating. A rhythmic beat reminds me of a heartbeat. I don't know if this is coming from the organism or the host. I'm getting the sense of a beating heart. Once this thing gets into the bloodstream, I get this feeling of the organism pulsating with the heartbeat of the host. With this, I'm experiencing this organism within a body. I don't know if it is human or some other living thing, but something with a heartbeat. This organism is thriving in the bloodstream, and it's growing, and it's flexible, and it's binding. Another image. What effect does this organism have on the host, I wondered? How it could be recognized? It's in the blood. This is an idea of changing the blood, the structure of the molecule. That's what they are talking about in this documentary. That this thing is changing the blood, and that's exactly how I described it in November of 2017. Changes the blood. Like something of the blood gets filtered through the organism and is sent back to the host bloodstream. Like the organism is consuming blood and excreting some altered molecule back into the bloodstream. That's what it does. Strong sense that the negative effects on the host are immediate, very fast, like the bends, blood contamination, very fast damage to the host. My feeling was, I hope I'm wrong. This was November 2017. Here it again is another drawing of it. Like after it goes into the blood vessel, it tightens and restricts and contracts the veins and muscles, hardening the body. And I had this idea here of this constricted body. I'm getting the idea of the host stiffening as the organism takes over. The body or the host hardens as the organism takes over. How does the organism reach the host? Human delivery system, or even human to human. Someone bringing it, brought over. That's the part that scared me. Somebody was bringing this. This was a big aesthetic impact. This is concerning me and is making me want to stop the session. The idea is too frightening to me of what was to come. Someone behind this, or a group, sense of who, but who's the group? Sense of science, strong scientific feel to them, very intelligent group, science, biology experts. Then I kind of go on to it being unleashed. So, feedback continues to come regarding this series of very important remote viewing work that I did in November of 2017 of what was to come. The feedback continues, and as it keeps coming in, I will keep updating and doing more updates on this topic, because this is important. This is probably, in my opinion, some of the most important, and I'm not a pat myself on the back kind of guy. I'm not monster ego. But this is, in my opinion, some of the most important remote viewing ever published because of the magnitude of what I documented, of what was to come. And again, this is published in Yahoo News 2 days ago. These Americans are a majority of these deaths for the first time. So we'll see if there's more updates to come. And stay safe.